Hey everybody, this is Choice at Winding Down Chronicles. We're at the end of week 8. The end of week 8 in my countdown to early retirement and to countdown to the end of the year. Today is actually day 61. 61 days remaining. Cannot believe it. It's almost becoming surreal. It's a cloudy day here in Bangkok. Very, very cloudy. It's been cloudy the last couple days. We're kind of heading into what's kind of considered the winter, and one of the more comfortable seasons of the year to actually visit Southeast Asia, because it can be quite hot. But this is a windy morning. Very windy right now. I hope you can hear me pretty well. I saw one of my videos from a week or two ago. The wind was blowing and it was a little distracting, a little bit on the sound. I need to get a headphone for my phone for these videos, just a microphone, I mean, to improve on the audio quality. But I'm gonna wait to buy something on Black Friday, which is only in 3 weeks away. Can you believe it? Thanksgiving coming up in 3 weeks. Very amazing. I'm gonna see if I can move a little bit out of the way of the wind here. Get a little bit of blocking. The sun's not out, so I don't know if I'm going to get too much vitamin D. But I wanted to come into the pool anyway, do a quick update for the week of ending week 8, and end of October. We're already in November. Really amazing. 2 months left in the year. I'll just start with this has been a fairly eventful week. This has been a few things have happened this week that are monumental in a way, milestones in some sense, other than just the ending of October. And I'll try to go through these as quickly as possible. I turned 56 this week. I turned 56 at the end of week 8. Can't believe that either. I'm on the second half of my 50s already, and I'm on the other side of the hill. I still feel very young. My body, I have some aches and pains that are accruing, if you will, using accounting terms. I don't want to dwell on them too much. I try not to dwell on them too much. It's just something that comes with life. I really have a hard time being around people who are always complaining about aches and pains. I have them, we have them, it's part of aging, and I just don't want to dwell on them, although I do recognize them, that they are more and more every year, and significantly more since I turned 50, and significantly more in the past year, I would say. But I'm going to work on my health. I'll be retiring, and I always prioritize my health. I always eat single ingredient foods. I'll have occasional cheat days like I did this week, just because of a special lunch or a special farewell or something. I might have a little taste of something sugary, even though I don't really care for it that much. I don't care for sugar. I prefer savory type snacks if I do eat anything. And I can only, anyway, if I take the sugar anyway, I can only eat a couple bites. I mean, it's just I don't have a taste. I don't have a sweet tooth, thank God. Certain things I could eat a lot of, like cheesecake or something, because it's not, depending on if it's too sweet or not. And depending anyway, I'm off topic. Whoa. Let me see if I could give an update on this week and the highlights. Anyway, I'm 56. That is a highlight, and I'm very glad that I'm in a position that I am going into early retirement. That I have enough money, as Lord willing. I don't have $1 million. I'm not retiring with $1 million. I don't have more than that. I have less than that, and I have dependent, and I kind of have some dependence by marriage. When you marry a foreigner, in many cases you're marrying the village, and I might have some responsibilities at some point, and to help with certain things with my wife's family, and that just comes with the territory. But for my plan, I think we'll be living simply. She's getting more and more excited. We'll be living simply. She doesn't need to go anywhere. She doesn't need to travel, and but she is getting more and more excited about our return to Laos, and so am I. Very excited. I'm equally excited to leave this job. So I'm going to just start with some quick updates here. So Bible reading wise, I'm almost at the end of Jeremiah. Jeremiah is a bit hard to take. There's a bit of poetic prophesying, and some of the words and the things that they're talking about I don't quite understand. It's something. Bible study is going to be a priority for me. More deeper study into the books and what I read when I'm retired and I do have more time. I'm reading it now with a little bit of commentary, and I hope to do a little bit more study when I have the time. And one of the things I will do is I'll probably pick up a Bible commentary, a Bible study guide when I go back to the States. So finishing up Jeremiah, I should finish that next week, according to the number of chapters. I just finished 1st and 2nd Timothy. They're okay, and I just started Titus. So, but the goal is the Bible that I'm reading, the Bible version, is New King James, and it's set up. It's a Charles Stanley Principles Bible, and it's structured so that you can read the entire Bible within a year. And so by the end of December, I'll have read the entire Bible in a year, minus 1 or 2 days because of traveling. But I didn't have that Bible actually with me when I traveled. But one of the things I did read today, I thought it was worthy of noting. It was a proverb. It was Proverbs 28:6. So better is the poor who walk in integrity than the perverse in his ways, though he is rich. And it always comes down to, I also just read something, more money won't make someone have more integrity. If you're a pervert and you're perverted and corrupt, regardless of how much money you have or don't have, you're not going to change. Whether you're a bad person or a good person at heart, your circumstances aren't really going to change you. It's only God that can change you, change your heart. So I think that was very fitting. I have to remember this touched me because I am retiring on a modest budget, and I'm not going to have millions. But I am proud of my career. I'm proud of how I'm still handling myself at work, even though it's very difficult to be there. I still work with integrity. I have moments of quiet quitting, but I am still doing my job 100%. But I do take those moments and winding down. I have 3.5 weeks of work left. And but anyway, back to the proverb. Anyway, the money, say money is the root of all evil, and but it really depends on the type of person that you are. If you're a good person, you have money, you do good. If you're a bad person, you have money, you do bad. You're greedy, and we see a lot of that. But just have to remember, it's all in God's control. And speaking of books, so I just started reading a recommendation from my sister. It's called When Jesus Returns. I finished a fictional story. Now I'm reading a nonfiction. It's When Jesus Returns. It's written by Jan Marshall, I think. It's a bit about the prophecies and the signs of the times. And this was a woman who ran for Congress, who was in Congress for a period of time, and she said she ran for president. I never heard of her before until this book. But a very interesting book, insights into the government and insights to head in diabolical agendas. And she's talking about things that I always sensed were wrong. And I think it just kind of confirms, I feel like God puts truth God can tell you the truth, and He will tell you the truth, even though you might not be able to fully explain it. She's writing about things about the government and these agendas that just are ringing true with me. Globalization, the immigration, the mass immigration, the climate change agenda. I'm an environmentalist, but I'm not a climate change freak. And I believe there's something diabolical about this climate change agenda and this mass immigration and globalization. I won't go into too much detail about it, but she is touching on this stuff and how certain parties and political figures and powerful people around the world are trying to make this happen. And there's disruptions in it that I think are godly and keeping from the coming of the Antichrist, who she believes will come from Europe. She believes the Antichrist will rise from Europe. And that is a common thing that I've heard in other readings and from other people. But anyway, I'm reading the book. It's very interesting. It's much more interesting than I expected. It's deeper and more political than I expected. But it's been a good read. I also picked up another book I wanted to read, but I didn't start it yet. It's called Die with Zero. I don't have any dependents. The only dependent I really have that I want to make sure I have money for is my wife. But I want a life where I can enjoy the money till I'm dead. I don't plan to leave a legacy. If I leave something behind I only want to make sure my wife has enough for her when I'm gone, if I go first. And then whatever's left, I don't want there to be much left. Whatever's left I have detailed in my will how I want that to be distributed, no matter when I go. But I intend to use the bulk of my money before I leave and gift it while I'm still living. I don't have the kids that I plan to leave a legacy to. And if I can help someone, I will. If I can help some of her family, I will. But I'd rather do it while I'm still alive. So anyway, this book I understand will help guide me in a way to make good use of the money while I'm still alive and enjoy it. I saw my parents. My mom, they had enough, but they had enough for a very simple life, for very, very frugal living. But my mom was always worried of money, and they didn't have much. I didn't inherit much. What I inherited is more than I ever expected from her and from my parents. I never expected to get what I did get, but it still wasn't game changer, but it was enough to it was like a cherry on top in a way. It was like whipped cream but I'm so grateful for it because I invested it when I did receive it, and it's reproduced. It's produced very well in the past 2 years, and it's made it possible so that I'm not as scared about going into retirement. So this book I think will help me give me some guide on how to use the money and earlier in my years, because it's the first couple years that really is the most dangerous as far as spending. And speaking of spending, my wife, so we have a car that her family has lent, her parents have lent to us. The truck is several years old. I don't know how they paid for that, but several years old. We've been keeping it in Laos, in Vientiane, where we live, mostly because her younger sister had a baby and she needed a car. And I said, I'm not buying a car. I'm not buying a car for your sister, but it's like not my kid, not my responsibility. But the father doesn't have any money, and he can't afford to buy a car either. But God's parents had a extra car out there, and we've kept it at our house, and it's been nice. We've taken advantage of it. I do all the maintenance, and I pay the insurance, and which they don't pay for insurance in Laos. People don't spend money on insurance, but I'm like, if something happens to this car, I'm the one. I don't want this out of pocket. So I've been paying the insurance on it. Anyway, their cars broke down in Laos, where they live, and her brother came yesterday to take the truck back because they need it. Now we don't have a truck again, and I had a feeling this was coming. I was really hoping that I wouldn't have to buy a car right away. I was hoping that my money investments could still brew and stew and grow. I was going to try and delay that as long as possible, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. She's, and I knew it. We're not even home. I didn't even pay for all the wedding stuff, and she's looking at car pictures, showing me all these cars on sale. It's a little frustrating, but I knew it was coming. And I kind of knew in the back of my head, we're going to end up having to buy a car. She won't let it go. And I know she's not going to fight for this car to keep this truck, but they need it. And it's not my car anyway, really. So it's hard to, I can't really argue too much. So my idea has been to buy like one of those medium-sized SUVs, like those Toyota Crosses, or very reliable. But she doesn't want that. She wants a big car. She calls it our second house. And I'm like, I listen to her arguments. She's in a way, she's right. She had a big car before, a big Toyota Fortuner, and she wants another big car. And in a way, if my mother had a bigger car, she would have been safe. She would not have been injured in that accident the way my mother was killed by a small car. She's driving a small car. She was killed by a bigger car. So it's the one thing in my back of my mind that's saying, agreeing with her. I would rather have my wife in a big, safe car than to try to go cheaper. I like small, compact cars. But she keeps talking about, well, when your family comes to visits, and we have a big, I said, it's just me and you, and you're tiny. Why do you need a big car? Well, we have the dogs. If we want to drive her around, her vision of our retirement will be driving around. She told me her dream is for us to be driving around Laos and maybe go to the Thai beach, across the border in this car. The car, and I always knew it, a big car is very important for her. It makes her feel safe. And I can understand that. And after seeing what happened with my mother, I want my wife safe. So I'm going to compromise on it. It's one of those things, just like the cost of the wedding. It's an experience. It's something for her that I want her to be happy about. And if something ever happened and she was injured because we had a smaller car, I would be devastated. So I think I need to bite the bullet, spend the extra money, get the bigger car. And I do like these bigger cars. It's a little pretentious to me, but for her, it's safety. I don't need a big car, but for her, I will do it. I'm just a little driving around in Laos in a big car is just. I always like to be unnoticed, but people don't drive fast, and it's not a crazy driving like it is here in Thailand, but it will be more comfortable. We plan to drive to different around Laos, and it clearly would be more comfortable with a bigger car and safer, as far as I can tell. Anyway, so we're looking at these Prados and Toyotas, and I don't want anything less than 8 years old. So I'm going to be shelling out a lot more money, 50% more money. But this means I won't buy my motorbike. I was going to buy another bigger motorbike, more comfortable one, but I won't do that, not right away. Now if we're going to buy this big car, I'd just rather get the thing that she likes, and then we'll be content in a very small house. Hopefully we'll be able to beautify that house. And I'm like, this car is going to cost the equivalent of my salary, because these things are not cheaper in Laos. Very expensive in Laos. The cars are very expensive, and to get anything kind of remotely in good shape, and I want a second hand, and I want to buy it from a reputable business, so we have some guarantee there. Because Laos, the heat in Southeast Asia will kill your car fast, really kill it. I mean, it wears anything out doubly fast than in most places in the world because of the dust and the heat and the humidity. So we'll probably be buying that car as soon as we're back. Here, I've just talked 5 minutes about it. I think because it is hard for me to think about, but it's inevitable. Another thing, health insurance. So we're making moves. I already decided on the health insurance we're going to have. I'm using this. I think the company's called Pacific Cross, the agent, and we're going to be getting some Cigna insurance for my wife and me. Only inpatient. This and with a $1,500 deductible. I'm filling out the application, and then I need to finish the application with Da today because it's asking some health questions that I'm not really sure how to answer. This will cost $307 a month for me, and $148 a month for me. She's 46 and I'm 56. It's a $480 a month total, so about $5,800 a year. I plan to pay it all 1 year or one time. It's cheaper, than paying the monthly service fee. But that won't take effect until January 1st. So that's another $6,000 I'm going to be shelling out in January, in March, December, along with all the other costs. But that's just the way it goes. And speaking of marriage, so we had another marriage course this week with our pastor. We talked about the 5 languages of love. And I'm familiar with this, so a lot of this stuff is new. It's interesting to watch Da and me fill out these questionnaires and stuff. So we watch a video, and then we answer some questions on our own, and then we discuss our answers with each other. So it's very interesting. She needs explanation on reading through some of these questions and how to answer. And me, I just look at this stuff and I know how to do it. So it's just that education level and experience I could see. So between one of the differences is between us, she's not educated, and she's never really had to do this type of thing. She just went to. So I could just see the differences between us in our education levels, which is fine. It's one of the things I adore about her. She's trying. She's at her Bible study course today, 4 hours. It's coming to an end, but she really loves it. She carries her book. She calls me her Nokrian. She's my little student, and she's really proud. She's really proud of this. Very good student. She studies in the evening and reads her Bible in the evening, and anyway, she's learning, and I just adore it. I adore everything about this with her. So that's the marriage, health insurance. One thing, just a little comment here. One thing I started doing this week was I started using my left hand with different simple things. Just to become a little more ambidextrous and less dependent on my right hand. I know it's kind of morbid if something ever happened where I couldn't use my right hand, but I want to be able to use my left hand for things, and even just for putting things on cream on my face, or wiping my face, or brushing my teeth, just simple things like that. And I can't believe how difficult it is for me to do it, just to get the motion. And it's amazing how automatic some of these things are when you're using your default side for everything. So I'm trying to switch things up, and I understand that that's also very good for your brain. It keeps your brain active, using both sides of your brain, and just to keep your brain younger by testing it and by challenging it. And so I'm doing different things with my left hand that I normally wouldn't do, and I have to be cognizant to do it because you do these things out of normal like a default. I default to my right hand for everything, but I want to be able to use my left hand for things. You just never know, and I think it's very good for dementia. You know, it's good. It's a very good way to prevent dementia. So there's some ideas for you if you're thinking, if you want to challenge yourself. Big thing this week, I have sold my scuba gear. I really was praying that I had a huge bag of scuba gear that I've been carrying around for the last 15. I started buying my gear in 2013 when I did my dive master. I've been scuba diving since 2008, so 20 years, and I've been scuba diving for 15 years every year except for the last 3, and it's been sitting under my bed. All of this equipment, it's worth at least $2,000 worth of stuff that I sold for $500. The equivalent of $500. So I was really praying to God, I don't want to take this back to Laos. I want to make this I want to make this too ridiculous of a deal for someone to pass up, especially here in a dive. I mean, Thailand, you go diving. It's a huge industry here on scuba diving. So I'm like, if I can't sell this in Thailand, I'm screwed, because I don't want to carry this back to Laos and have it sit there and everything's just going to rot. It literally will rot in the bag, because I just realized I did some searching this week, deep searching in my mind and my heart, and I'm like, I love scuba diving, but I'm done. I'm bored with it. I don't need it anymore. And if I am ever in an opportunity to scuba dive again, I'll just rent it and let them take care of it. I don't have to rent it. I don't have to take my own, lug my own equipment. I mean, this stuff weighs like 25, 30 kilo bag just for the scuba gear. That's not even including a tank. So thank God this young Russian guy came, flew up from Phuket for it. And we went through it, and he said, I trust you. I mean, I think he was hungover. He smelled really terrible. But I liked him a lot. I think he was nervous to say he was Russian, but he said there's a lot of Russians in Phuket, and people were fleeing the war. The Russians hate it. I said, how is it in Moscow? He said, I said, do you feel the impact of the war? And he said, yeah. He said, you can't say anything. You got to keep your mouth shut, and there's drones. I didn't go into too much detail. I didn't know how comfortable he was. His English was not very, it was okay, but he didn't understand a couple things I said. That could be my English. I don't speak very clearly sometimes. But anyway, younger guy, he's in Phuket. He's on a student visa. I mean, the visa system here is corrupt. But I was praying, God, please let this go for some reasonable amount of cost. And I was able to unload it, and I'm so grateful. I don't need to take that back to Laos. And I just prayed for it. I did arigato, arigato. I thanked the equipment. I thank God for this. I thank for all the experiences, and I just blessed it that it would be a blessing to this guy. It would be safe. Everything's working. Everything will work well for him, and I really want him to be blessed by it and be safe. And I'm just thankful for the experience. And you got to let it go. You can't, you want to cling to try and get every penny you can out of things, and I see that with people. And I used to be like that too, and now I'm like, I got my experience from it. I got my need met. I don't need it anymore. Let it bless someone else. And if I can get a little bit of money from it, I will. And I'll be grateful for that. And I did. The only thing I have remaining is a knife and a flashlight. And those I'm going to keep. If I can't sell them, I'm going to keep them, because they still are very, very high quality. And all the stuff I sold I always bought brand new. I never bought secondhand, and always top quality. I had the flexible income. I always bought the top quality, and it was a priority for me. Just not anymore. I don't care. I don't care to go scuba diving ever again. I'm happy to see some videos of people. Half my photos I've thrown out. My digital photos. It's another fish. Great. All the money, I think of all the money. The biggest waste I think I had with scuba diving was the time time and cost I put into the cameras. I don't care about pictures. I really don't. The only pictures I'm keeping are the ones that were on the boats and above the land. Everything else, I don't really care. It's just blue and ocean, and so it just lost its. That's one thing I would have changed. I wouldn't have focused so much time on the pictures and getting camera gear. The camera gear is very expensive, and it was the biggest waste that I would say for me. If there was something that I would change, just the financial news. Holy cow! Holy cow! What a week! I'll be wrapping it up here. Let me make sure this is running. Whoa, we're on 30 minutes. Let me see if I can wrap this up. What a week in finances! This was the Super Bowl of earnings week. The big companies, the biggest companies this week. We still have a few remaining, but oh my gosh, what a face ripper! Stock market was a face ripper this week. I'm up 8% in 1 week. 1 week, 8%. From the beginning of the year, I'm up 45%. Just from the year. You know, you're lucky to get the average market return in the past is 10%. I'm up over 45% in 1 year. I'm up 100% in 2 years. Last year was insane, even more insane. So this is what's made it possible. I just see the blessing from God to make it possible for me to be cautiously optimistic about retirement and having enough money. Unless the market really tanks and all these stocks go to zero, that's the only thing that would change. But even a 10 to 20% correction I'm not concerned about it. We'll live simply, and it will be enough. But what a week! Holy cow! Just every day, you know, it turned a little red in the past day or two. I'm sure there's going to be a correction. NVDA became the first $5 trillion company. NVIDIA is worth more than every country in the world's gross domestic product, except for China and USA. It's this one company. NVIDIA is the king of AI. It's the chips. The biggest country, except for China and the US, they have a bigger market cap than any other country in the world. That's insane, and it's not stopping. This company will probably be 10 trillion by 2030, if not sooner. So that's another double, just because of the microchips. Amazon killed it. Google killed it this week. Just face rippers. And I'm glad they're my heavier stocks. There are things that when people were tossing them out the window, I was buying when they were cheap. And now paying, you know, it was hard. Google was the hardest one to keep buying when people, you know, they thought the ChatGPT was going to destroy AI and Google search, and Google's killing it. And you know, that's already a double. My investment's already doubled in Google, and that's only been holding it for a year and a half. So I'm really glad I went heavier in those particular projects. Amazon killed it this week, and Amazon announced that they're going to be laying off 75% of their workforce in the next soon. They're going heavy into robotics. Amazon is probably ahead of Tesla in robotics. These factory jobs are going away. It's going to be all robotics. I don't know what people are going to do for jobs, but 75% of Amazon said, you know, their jobs are going. 75% of the jobs are going away. What are people going to do? I mean, the divide is just getting bigger. The only way out of it is investing. I mean, and I don't know what kind of jobs are going to be with AI. You know, office jobs are going away. Middle management jobs are going away. This stuff is going away with AI and this robotics. So if you're not in it, you're going to lose. If you don't have something in it, if you don't have something in the market, you're going to lose. And then when you have the great melt up that's happening, The Fed Reserve, they reduced interest rates, but they're not sure about December. But they're going to start printing money. Inflation is going to go up next year. It's my prediction based on some experts that I'm listening to. It makes sense. Inflation is going to go up. They're printing money, and the dollar is devaluing. So the only place that you can make up for that is in investing. So what I've been doing this week, which is extremely difficult, is de-risking. So I've been selling some of my biggest winners. For example, Palantir. I bought Palantir heavy back in 2022 when it was under $10. I made a mistake. I bought some when it was $20 when it first IPO'd, when it first came out, became public. But I was buying it heavily under $10, and now it's been a 2,000% return. It's my biggest winner, and it's become the second largest position in two of my accounts. I won't say how many shares I've had. Maybe one day I'll do a more detailed investment financial overview of my portfolio. But 2,000, it's like a 2,100% return on it in 2 years. And I just started selling it to raise cash and to de-risk. I mean, it's more than 5%. A couple weeks ago it was over 6% of my portfolio, and that's extremely, and second highest, biggest position next to Tesla. It's just too risky. So I've been de-risking. I'm selling, and I sold. I can't believe I've sold probably 80% of my holdings in Palantir, and half of that last week to de-risk and to raise cash. Palantir has earnings call on Monday, so we'll see what happens. They're one of the most expensive stocks in the market, valuation-wise. But we'll see next week if there's a change. I got a little buddy. See if he flies away. That's a pretty one. I didn't check to see if we have any dead birds here. But yeah, I'm de-risking, and I've also been selling a few, de-risking on some of my other stocks that are become a little bit too heavy, too overweight in my portfolio, my blueprint. I'll talk about a blueprint another time, but yeah, I'm de-risking. So I'm raising cash, so I'm reducing the risk of any market correction, any downturn in it, taking some profits, and putting that money into cash for in case that there is a correction that comes up. I'm still not to the amount of cash that I would want right now. I think it's only about 2%, 3% of my portfolio. I would ideally like it up to 5% of ready for a correction. And I'm still winning, when you have to be careful with being greedy when the market's going crazy. I mean, the market's becoming